October 20th, 2012. From Las Vegas, Nevada, this is episode 4 of You Can Bet on That. All right, Dr. Mike and I are fresh back from a trip to Las Vegas, and in fact, we recorded some audio while we were there, including an introduction to the show, so let's listen to that now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall, sitting in the passenger's chair, and in the driver's seat is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
We are headed to Vegas, northbound on Interstate 15. Any of you from Southern California who have driven to Vegas know that this is one boring drive, especially the second half that's almost entirely through the high desert. One nice, when you hit, however, state line, the state line separating California and Nevada, that is when you start to get excited because you know you are close to Vegas, and that is what we're coming up on right now. You go over Mountain Pass and you turn a corner, and then suddenly you see state line down in the distance. It looks closer than it is. It's about 10 miles away.
It looks like it's about a half mile away.
It's a little more impressive at night when you see all the lights. It's the daytime right now. We're actually hitting a little rain, too. But we're turning the corner right now. We should see it any minute. We've been on the road for a few hours. We actually stopped along the way. When we left home, we went straight to Harrah's Rincon to pick up some free slot play that we had coming because we're part of Caesars Entertainment's Total Rewards Players Club. And like we told you about a couple episodes ago, you always want to take advantage of Players Clubs to get free money. And in fact, Mike, how much did you get out of it?
Well, I had $695 of free play, and I ended up coming away with $447 of actual cash.
So $447. So it was worth our little side trip there. It took us about an hour out of our way, but definitely worth it for almost $500 in play.
Give me about maybe 10 more minutes of playing at the craps table.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're turning the corner here, and there it is, state line. Oh, that means that we're less than an hour away from Vegas. So we stopped at Harrah's Rincon on the way, and things didn't seem to be going very well at first because Mike was having a little trouble parking. He stalled the car. And then we went in, and we immediately went up to the cashier to get our free play. And there was only one cashier working because it was in the morning, and she was a bit frazzled. And as we went up, she was saying, "Oh, I can't believe what I just did." She had apparently given out $100 to a customer that she should not have. And she was more than a little frazzled.
Oh, she looked like she was going to have a heart attack.
It really, at first we thought, oh, she's just venting to us. But no, she was like grasping her chest and had trouble even helping us.
And she had her name tag, had her name, and underneath Employee of the Month.
That's right.
Too. So
things weren't going very well for her. I felt bad for it. Here we are laughing about it. She was not happy. Anyway, we're going to be talking to you at different points during our trip to let you know how things are going. But we're here for a long weekend in Las Vegas. Like I said, we're about an hour away, so we'll talk to you soon. All right, so we got to Vegas. Our friend Dave was flying in from North Carolina. He beat us there by maybe about 20 minutes or so. So he met us at Caesar's Palace at the registration desk there, and then Mike took us around to the special 7 stars check-in. And so as part of this trip, you got $1,000 in casino play,
right? And
you were also automatically entered into a drawing that they were doing on Sunday,
right?
A $200,000 drawing. And the top prize was like $25,000
in casino play.
Right, all in casino play. And then there was some $10,000, $5,000, all the way down to $100. Right. So that was a drawing that they were going to have on Sunday. And the more that you played up till that point,
the more entries you got into the drawing, right?
Right.
But anyway, you got the $1,000 casino play, and the casino play at Caesar's Palace works differently than the casino play at Harrah's Rincon.
Right.
It's much better. Now, at Rincon, you get your casino play, and when you make the bet with the casino play, if you lose, they just take it, right? If you win, they pay you off with a real chip, but then they take away your casino play.
Right, your voucher.
Right. Whereas at Caesar's Palace, if you put your casino play down, again, they'll just take it away if you lose. But if you win, they give you a real chip and your voucher stays there.
Right, so you can win again.
Yeah, that's significantly different.
Oh,
That's
huge difference.
you know, so for $1,000 at Rincon, you're likely to only get about $500 back in real cash.
Right.
And at Caesar's, you're likely to get pretty close to the thousands.
I'd say I probably got over the $1,000 back. I lost track at one point because I just, disinterested and didn't keep track.
Right.
But the first couple ones won 2 or 3 times. So
yeah. And so it was $1,000, and they had to give you $100 denominations.
They gave me 10 $100 denominations.
Right, 10 was the most slips they could give you,
right.
So they had to be 100.
Right.
So even though you typically don't bet like $100 on the pass line at craps, you did in this case.
Right, and I just took my regular odds. I didn't make, the
odds that you took were as if you were betting like 25 on the line.
Right, as if I was betting 25.
So, and how much do you think you got out of it?
Oh, I at least got $1,200-$1,300.
Yeah, it was definitely over the 1,000.
Oh, definitely. Because the first one won 3 times. That was $300 for that one right there. And the second one was about the same. There was a couple in the middle where I lost them, but most of them I won.
You won and they stayed out there.
Right.
Yeah, I saw the first couple that you did. So anyway, we checked in and we stayed at the Octavius Tower, which is very nice. It's a bit of a trek.
It's too far away from the gambling area.
It's probably about as far as you can walk at Caesar's
to
get to the casino.
So if you're losing, it's a nightmare. And if you're winning, it's a nightmare.
So next time you need to request the closer
the closer tower, please.
So anyway, like I said, we met our friend Dave and we played craps a little bit. We started to play and it was they were like $25 tables. That's the only place we could find. Right. And this was Friday afternoon.
Yeah, Friday at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
It was even the whole trip. It was kind of hard to figure out the limits at Caesar's because when you went a few weeks back, you said there were plenty of $10 tables.
Oh yeah,
even at night.
Even on our trip, a couple times there were several $10 tables in the evening at 9 o'clock. But then the next morning, with just a few people playing, there's only a $25 table.
We couldn't figure out how it went that way. So anyway, 25 was a little too steep for Dave's bankroll. It was even too steep for mine. But we played a little bit there and caught a couple of hands and
we actually won.
So just by coincidence, the weekend that we went was also the weekend of the Vegas Internet Mafia Family Picnic, which is an event held every year by a couple of Las Vegas podcasts. They come and do their podcast live in front of an audience, and it's a couple of podcasts, the Vegas Gang podcast and the Five Hundy by Midnight podcast. So I've been a listener to those podcasts for some time, and the Five Hundy team, Tim and Michelle from Five Hundy, they were having a listener meetup at the Book and Stage bar over at Cosmopolitan. So we walked over there. I wanted to meet them, and it was pretty hectic there. The baseball playoffs were going on.
Right.
And so I found Tim and introduced myself, but he was a little overwhelmed. I think there were a lot of people there, and a lot of people kind of wanting to get his attention. So I introduced myself and just spoke to him briefly and talked just a little bit with a couple of fans, but it was really just a little too crowded. So then we walked over across the street to Planet Hollywood. And there, there were $5 tables at the craps table, right?
Oh, yeah. I think they were all.
Yeah.
Pretty much right.
So that was good. So then Dave was able to play with us. And we got up to the table. We cashed in. We started playing. And the guy had a good roll while we were there.
Yeah, the first roll was excellent.
I got a call from our friend Mike from Seattle. He was looking for us back over at Book and Stage. And I said no, we left there. It was too crowded. So he said, okay, I'll come over and meet you. by the time Mike from Seattle came over, we were still on the same shooter.
Right.
So that was great. And, shortly after he showed up was when the shooter 7'd out, but we cashed out. So we all won right there.
We saw one shooter, won and left.
Yeah.
We also loved cashing us in.
So, I mean, this is kind of typical of how that first night went for us. We had pretty good luck at the craps table, at least that first day anyway.
Yeah, we won everywhere we played the first day.
It was nice. So, we were ready to eat, so we headed over to the PBR Rock Bar and Grill, which is over at Planet Hollywood. And I'd always wanted to try the Dorito-crusted mac and cheese as a side, so I got that with along with a bacon and egg grilled cheese sandwich. What'd you get?
I had the pulled pork sandwich. It was excellent.
It was good?
Oh, it was very good. It was huge, and it was very good.
Yeah.
I was surprised that it was that good. And and mini corn dogs. We had mini.
Oh, that's right, mini corn dogs. And they were better than. I mean, they were good.
Yeah, they were actually really good.
The hot dog part was good.
Right.
It wasn't just like some turkey pork beef combo. Yeah. So it was loud there. I mean, they had loud music playing.
It was loud.
It was loud because the young crowd at Planet Hollywood.
But we were easily the oldest people.
Yeah, I think so. But it was I think overall good experience.
Yeah.
And we got to watch Children of the Corn on TV.
On Fuel TV.
Fuel TV. They had a bunch of screens in there, just all tuned to sports channels.
Yeah.
And
a large part of that movie takes place in a gas station, so I guess it's appropriate that it was on Fuel TV.
I guess so. Yeah, every time I looked up, they were driving. So.
Yeah, driving or in a gas station.
Yes.
I don't know.
So that was good. So then after dinner, Mike from Seattle, his wife, Mikan, showed up, and our friend Mary also showed up. Good friend of the podcast, Mary.
Yeah.
And so we headed over to the Seahorse bar at Caesar's Palace to have drinks. For whatever reason, the Seahorse bar became our go-to bar for the trip, and the service was terrible. Nobody ever came.
That's why we liked it.
Yeah, that's true.
There were plenty of seats. You can't get a drink. It's a bar where you can't get a drink.
So we drank there for a little bit. I think you went out and played craps.
Played craps
a little bit after that.
Yeah.
And then we kind of hit the sack early that night.
Yeah, I think everyone was pretty tired.
Yeah, so we were asleep by midnight, I think, on that night. So then the next morning, we made another recording with our friend Dave. So let's take a listen to that now. All right, we're at Caesar's Palace, room 6259. We're here with our good friend Dave, who has come into Vegas to meet us for this long weekend.
Hello.
Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
Mike, what were you saying about the pillows?
Well, they put 4 pillows on your bed. Who sleeps with 4 pillows?
You can take them off,
Yeah, I know. It's still bullshit. You got to find places to put them. It's 1 pillow, okay? 1 pillow.
All right, let's say something when we leave. We'll stop by the concierge.
Fill out the note
This is ridiculous. All right, so we played some craps already since we've been here. Dave, you haven't played in craps, 20 years? Has it been that long?
At least 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what'd you think, kind of getting back into it?
It was good. I'm glad I watched the first hour and a half.
Yeah.
Because I remembered how to play to a certain extent. And it's fun. It's just a fun game. I'm glad we found a $10 table, too.
Yeah. Well, when we first got here, we were at Caesars, and all the $10 tables were basically full, so we had to play to 25 for a little while, which was scary because it didn't go well at first.
The first 10 minutes were terrible, but then, you got the dice, and it turned into pretty good rolls.
Yeah. And Mike likes to bet the hard ways. We haven't really talked about hard ways on the podcast yet, but basically, when you're betting a hard way, you're betting that, say a hard 8, you're betting that an 8 will come up as a pair of 4s. That's called a hard 8, as opposed to some other kind of 8, like a 5-3 or a 6-2. And when you bet the hard ways, you'll win if the hard way comes up. You'll lose if one of the easy ways comes up, or if a 7 comes up. So the payoff is pretty good. For a hard 8 and a hard 6, for example, the payoff is 10 for 1, 9 to 1.
9 to 1 or 10 for 1.
Which is the same. And for a hard 4 or a hard 10, the payoff is 8 for 1. Anyway, I generally don't bet them because there's a pretty steep house edge. But I'll admit, Mike was throwing out some hard ways, and that's basically what...
It's why I'm up.
Yeah. That's what's been the saving grace for craps so far. So, and we played a little bit over at Planet Hollywood, too. Found a $5 table over there, too. So, that was good. But Dave, you had a good time though at the table?
It was fun. It was really fun. I don't remember when we played craps many years ago how much tipping that can happen. And Mike, you were tipping the dealers like crazy.
Well, I typically tip a lot. It's it's just especially when I'm up, because they're working for minimum wage.
Yeah.
That's how they make their living. And if I'm up, I don't mind tipping a little.
And we were talking to one of the pit bosses at Harrah's Rincon about tips and how the dealers get tips and what have you. He said that blackjack tips kind of take care of themselves. That plenty of people tip at blackjack. It's real. People just know, okay, I'm going to put out $1 for the dealer on this next hand or whatever. But at the craps table, for whatever reason, they don't get many tips.
Right. And he said that when someone does tip, like myself at a craps table, then the dealers, that makes their night so much better, because the tips are shared by all the dealers.
Yeah.
On that shift.
Yeah.
So
whether they're dealing craps or blackjack or anything, it's all pooled.
It's all pooled. So they know they get a certain amount. They're going to achieve a certain amount from blackjack. But when somebody tips big at craps, it really boosts up their totes. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised. It seems like you need to the players at the craps table. Are, I don't want to say more sophisticated, but they've learned a game that's more complicated than blackjack. So you'd think that they'd be more cognizant of, the dealers needing tips, right? I mean, again, they're working for minimum wage. But it's not the case anyway, so please tip your dealer. All right, so then after we recorded that, we headed across the street to Flamingo, because that had some cheaper tables than Caesars.
Right.
And it didn't go too well there. Right. So,
no, that was the start. That was the whole start of the downturn.
Yeah,
it really was. I mean, it wasn't. The dice weren't good. It was early in the morning. There weren't many players on the table. It just wasn't fun. I mean, they were nice.
It was fine, but you're right. Since we were losing too,
it just left a bad taste in your mouth.
So we went over to Harrah's, and that wasn't all that good either. Although there were a few shooters that had some good hands. It was funny. While we were there, Mike, I forget, the point was like 5. We needed a 5 to come up. Right. And so Mike was, before the shooter would shoot the dice, I was circling the area in the field where 5 should be, but there is no 5 in the field. So I was just circling the area. And there was an old guy there, and he was just so upset that I was playing with a felt. That's right. Hands up! Get your hands up! Because players don't like it if the dice are shot and somebody's hands are there and the dice hit their hands. That's right. And Mike has been playing craps long enough that he's not going to have his hands down there when the dice are actually in the air.
By the time they actually touched the dice, I had already lifted up. But while all the nonsense is going on in between, I was just circling it, just making a little circle.
And this guy didn't like it. So he's complaining, hands up, hands up. So then the shooter made the point. He rolled the 5, so we all won. And what'd you yell out?
I yelled as loud as I could, "You're welcome."
And meanwhile, the guy's just, his head's down. He's just shaking his head.
He had a sour look the whole time.
But we had a losing session there, and then we went back to Caesars to play a little bit, and it didn't go well there either. So anyway, by that time, our good friend Paul, another good friend of the podcast, Paul, showed up to meet up with us, and we met him at the sports book at Caesars. And I said, while I'm here, I want to make this bet. I had this real fun idea where I was going to make this parlay bet. A parlay bet in sports is basically when you make 2 bets and you kind of combine them. So the idea is if they both win, you get paid off much more than if you'd made 2 separate bets. It's almost like if they both win, you take the winnings from the first part of the bet and apply them all to the second part of the bet. It's like a parlay. So I thought, I'm going to make a parlay bet where I combine a football game and a baseball game. Ooh, it's going to be, has any of my friends done that? No, they've never done it.
I don't think so.
So I decided I was going to, since the football giants were playing and the baseball giants were playing, I'd go and I'd make a bet on
Giants.
Giants. So when I got up there, the Giants football team were the underdogs, and I didn't want to bet the underdogs for my parlay. I wanted to bet the favorite, money line. So they were playing the 49ers. So I bet on this. So I bet against the Giants in football, and then I bet for the Giants in baseball. They were playing the St. Louis Cardinals in the playoffs. So my parlay was the Giants football to lose, Giants baseball to win for $100.
You wanted to bet 60?
That's right. I said to the lady, make it 60. And then, can I change that to 100? Because I didn't want to, come across as real wimpy when I went back to my friends. Right. $60. I bet $100. So I made the $100 bet. And if it won, it would pay, I'd get my $100 back plus like $136. Yeah. So just jump to the end. They both lost.
Yeah. And as it turned out, had you bet Giants football to win and Giants baseball to lose, you would have won the bet.
I would have won the bet, and I would have won more.
Right.
Because
you had taken the underdog.
In both cases, the underdog would have won.
Yeah. So the lady, you ended up betting more money than you intended to and changing your initial bet to a losing bet.
So that worked out good. So I've got a good story.
Yeah, nice. We were all impressed.
All right. So Paul was staying with us in the room, so we took his bags up, and it was going so bad at that point as far as the gambling went, that we just headed out to Serendipity 3, which is a restaurant kind of outside of Caesars. And Mike treated us to some frozen hot chocolates, which are very good.
Excellent.
Very chocolatey, though. Yeah, if you don't like chocolate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's basically chocolate powder and ice.
Yeah. So. It's a frozen drink. And you had a giant chili dog.
Giant chili, which by the way, was excellent,
too.
It
was good.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. It's lots of fun big. Okay.
the old. I wonder if they still have that. When we used to go in the old days, and maybe they still have this, but it was a 99-cent, like foot long, hot dog that was,
which our friend Mike coined the wretch dog.
The wretch dog. Yeah. And it wasn't that good. I mean, it was,
no, it was not good at all.
that was kind of the fun of ordering it. Is, you were eating something disgusting. But okay, but the one at Serendipity 3 was good.
Very good.
All right, good. So then we walked over we were trying to decide, where are we going to go play next? Because we're just having bad luck. So we decided, let's go over to Bellagio because we've always enjoyed playing there.
Yeah, it's real close.
And it was close to Caesar's Palace, right? So we went over there, and once again, there was no room at any of the $10 tables. Oh. So we played at a $25 table, and it went real poorly at first, but then it improved a lot.
Heated up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Boy, there was a guy next to you that had like $4,000 in front of him.
At least 4 to 5. Dropped it real quick.
Yeah, he was gone just when we got there. But after he left, it improved quite a bit.
Right.
And I was just basically placing the 6 and 8 at $25 is a little steep for me. But yeah, we came out of there winners.
We both won.
Yeah, that was good. So about that time, the excuse for the trip was birthday dinner for me, and so my wife and 2 kids came into Vegas that afternoon. So I met up with them. Mike, you actually dropped me off at the hotel we were staying at. So we stayed, my wife and kids and I stayed at the Cancún resort, which is off strip. It's south on Las Vegas Boulevard, but off the strip, and family friendly. I wanted to stay, since our kids are 9 and 14, so I wanted to kind of keep them away from from real Vegas as much as I could. So we stayed at this Cancún resort, which is very family friendly, has a big pool with some great water slides. I mean, water park quality slides. They have lifeguards there doing everything. So that was a great experience there. We had a 2-bedroom room there, and that's where I stayed that night with my wife and kids. So then, how did your afternoon go after you dropped me off?
Well, I went back to Caesars, and Paul and Mary and Dave were over at Harrah's. So I just stayed at Caesars and played craps, and didn't go too bad. I actually, pretty much broke even at that session. I mean, if anything, maybe lost very little. And I just waited for them until it was time to change for dinner.
Yeah, good.
And then I met up with them, and we went over to our birthday dinner at Harrah's.
Yeah, so dinner was at the Range at Harrah's, a steakhouse. And, I drove there with my wife and kids, and we left about 45 minutes before the dinner, which was supposed to start at 6:30. And I thought, I'm going to be smart about this. We're not going to take the freeway and then get off and have to deal with the Strip. I'm going to go the back way because I know, an easy back way to get to Harrah's. So that was my good plan. We had plenty of time, and we turned left on Flamingo. So we're going west on Flamingo, and I'm getting this big idea where we're going to take a right and kind of go into the back part of Harrah's. Well, what I forgot about was all the construction that's going on for the Link project, the big, project that they're doing, kind of behind Imperial Palace. So we got stuck. There was a dead end, and then, I had to turn around, and then we're stuck in traffic, and emergency vehicles are going by. Oh, my gosh. So I finally text everybody. I text Dave. You guys are all waiting for us.
You're already at the table.
You're there. Yeah. And so I'm just like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to be late for this dinner that's supposed to be for me. And I'm texting saying, well, we're going to be 15 minutes late. And then we got caught in more traffic. I said, well, I texted him, better make it a half hour. Probably going to be about 30 minutes late for my own dinner. But finally, I found kind of a shortcut and got there. And so
you weren't too late.
It was about 15 minutes late. And by then, you were already having big seafood towers.
Yeah, 2 seafood towers. The maitre d' suggested I order that, so of course we did.
And those were good. There's crab legs and shrimp and oysters.
Yeah, oysters, shrimp, crab legs.
I think that was it. Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. So we had this big dinner at the Range, and you subsidized quite a bit of it thanks to a $500, they called it congratulatory dinner.
Right. Once a year, I think a 7-star member gets like a dinner up to $500.
Yeah.
So you can use that anywhere, any Harrah's property. So I used it there. And then I used another 500 of my points, of my reward points.
Yeah.
So
Mike I want to thank Mike for putting on that dinner for us because that was great. And I really like the Range restaurant too. I had the filet, which was one of the best I've ever had. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I went to cut it and my knife practically fell through.
Yeah, they always have good food there. Yeah. It's always been good.
And it's a great view of the Strip too. It's kind of up high. It's not that high, but it's windows overlooking the Strip from the Harrah's.
Second, third story high.
Yeah. And you're right there, seeing all the lights and everything. So, that was just a great dinner. A lot of my family, were there. They had come in that day too. My parents, my sisters. It was just a great, experience there. So then afterwards, I just went back with, my family back to the Cancun resort just to spend the night with them there. And I think you
went back to Caesar's Palace again.
Did you play it all with my mom?
Oh, yeah, we played. That's right. After dinner, I played with your mom and sisters at Harrah's.
Uh-huh.
And, we started off doing so good. And the first 2 shooters were winning rolls. Your mom, I just gave her like $10 to start.
Yeah.
I put a pass line bet and it won. And then the next bet, she took pass line with odds and that won. So pretty soon she had like $100+ in front of her and we were playing. Everything was going good and then turned sour.
Yeah.
And we ended up leaving there all losing, but, not terribly bad, just losing. But
right.
I think we were only there for maybe an hour.
Okay. And then you just headed back to Caesar's.
And then Paul and I went back to Caesar's.
Okay.
And Mary, I can't remember. I think Mary stayed at Harrah's. Oh, that's it. I remember now. Mary, Dave, and Mike went up to the bar.
Oh, okay.
They stayed at the bar at the Range while we were playing.
Back at the Range where we...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's where they stayed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So then the next morning, my family and I, we headed back to Caesar's, and we decided to take advantage of the new Bacchanal buffet at Caesar's. And when we got there, you said that you needed to lose weight.
Right. Oh, I'm way too heavy.
So that from now on, whenever you, instead of walking places...
Yeah, I'm going to march.
You're just going to march.
I'm going to high step march, like a majorette in a marching band.
And I'll tell you, our 9-year-old got such a kick out of that. He thought that was great. He kept talking about that the whole weekend. He'd go around marching.
Marching's fun, and marching into a buffet to eat like a pig.
So the Bacchanal buffet. This is the second time you've eaten there. Was it the first time for breakfast?
First time for breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah, we had dinner before.
Yeah.
That's an excellent buffet.
It is a good buffet. I mean, it's
pricey.
Yeah.
But it's an excellent buffet.
Yeah. It's getting a reputation early. It's just open, but it's getting a reputation of being the best buffet. And I have to agree. My wife said it's the best buffet she's ever been to.
Yeah. But it's, how buffets are. They always start off really good. Then after a few years, they get the pricing down. They figure, they're giving away too much or it's too nice and things change. So the real test is the test of time. And
see what it's like in about 5 years.
Yeah. If it's still really good in a couple of years, then it's a winner.
But it was good. We had some fish. They had some breakfast pizza that was there, right, with topping.
They had a whole fish.
Yeah.
A whole fish, the head and everything, and people were just scooping out the innards out.
Yeah, my wife had some of that. Yep, it was good. So that was a good experience. And
they had, this time when we were there for dessert, they had a huge bowl of corn candy corn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could just have candy corn for dessert.
So Mike filled up his pockets.
I filled up my pockets with candy corn. I like candy corn.
Nice. So then I spent a little more time with the family, and then they took off. They were heading back just that day. This was Sunday. And after I saw them off, we were thinking, maybe we should play a little more craps. But Dave was kind of done. He had played, I think, some blackjack with Paul the previous night and had won. So he was up for the trip. He wanted to stay
ahead.
So we walked by one of these machines that's like a craps, kind of like a craps slot machine.
Yeah.
And we made a recording while we were there. So let's take a listen. All right, we're at Caesar's Palace now. We're in front of a slot machine that plays craps, and Mike is the current shooter. It's the kind of game where you make the bets on a display in front of you, and then there's a big cylinder in the middle of all these screens with these two huge dice that are bouncing on, I guess, this kind of felt area. And when it's time to shoot, Mike's the shooter right now. He presses a button, and the dice kind of bounce up, kind of like a Pop-O-Matic from, what was that old game? Was it Life? And that's how you play craps. And I guess the nice thing about this is you can use minimums that are lower than, a typical table. The table... Mike...
7 out.
Mike just 7'd out. So the minimum here on this is $3. So you can play lower limit. It's kind of goofy, and it's...
I'm cashing out for 92 cents.
It's one of the strange things about it is it's actually kind of complicated, almost more complicated than just going up to a regular craps table and playing. And there's a time limit, so sometimes there isn't enough time to get your bets down. Anyway, this thing is called Shoot to Win Craps.
Wait, I'm not done. I'm cashing out.
Just here, you talk to me.
I'm cashing out for 92 cents, and I'm going to take my voucher and just drop it outside the buffet line at some point during the trip.
Yeah, so Shoot to Win Craps. It's not really like you were saying, it's not really the kind of thing where you can learn to play craps.
No, not at all.
I was thinking about it too. When you think about when you're at a craps table, when there's a new shooter, and when that shooter establishes a point, that's when most of the bets come in, right? That's the longest gap between rolls.
Right.
Is between that when the shooter first establishes his first point and then rolls again.
Time.
And this game, this Shoot to Win Craps, there was, I don't know, like a 30-second time limit between rolls.
Every time.
Right. They should put more time after a point's been established, for you to make more bets.
Right.
Because you and I know, we know craps, all right? Yeah. We know our way around the table, and we're still thinking, I got to make this bet. Oops.
Oh, you had to press so many buttons to make a bet.
Yeah.
It just took too long.
Yeah. So, the only reason I can see to want to do it is because you can play at lower limits.
Right.
I said in the recording it was $3 limit, but that was for the pass line. You could make like $1 bets on a lot of the other things, place bets and what have you. So anyway, it was fun, but I can't really recommend it. So, like I said, my wife and kids left. Paul also left. Dave left on his flight. And then I said, hey, Mike, remember you've got that drawing over at Flamingo.
Right. I had actually forgot about that.
Yeah. I said, hey, because what it was again, a drawing, $200,000 in casino play they were giving out. The top prize was like $25,000 all the way down to $100. And, you also got more entries based on your play.
Right.
And of course, you played quite a bit at that
Right.
point, so who knows how many entries are. So you did not have to be present when the drawing happened. You did not have to be present to win, but you had to collect your winnings sometime before like Monday
morning at noon or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So we headed over to Flamingo. So what happened?
So we go up to the total rewards area. And a lady asked my name. She had a list of all the winners. And she's going down the list, and I was trying to follow. I couldn't really see my name. And she said, "Oh, congratulations!" And I thought, well, I won $200 or something, right? $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah. When she told me that, I was like, "Really? Yep, $5,000. Just go across the way there and pick your $5,000 up."
Oh my gosh!
So that's what we did. We went over there, and it was funny. It was the same thing. You could only get 10 vouchers. So if I wanted to play a table game, I could get 10 $500 vouchers.
Right.
I would have to make $500 bets.
Yeah, and so if you were forced to do that, you could lose. I mean, you could end up with only $1,000 in real money after that,
none.
or
I mean,
none. Yeah,
yeah,
because
'cause you-
that's too much. They wouldn't let you go down to smaller denominations.
Right.
You'd have to go up to a
It
table
had
and
to
make
be divided by
$500
10.
Yeah.
So I chose to take instead 500 or 10 $500 vouchers that could be used in a slot machine.
Right.
Because then I could play a lower limit slot machine.
You could put the $500 voucher in, but you wouldn't have to pull for like one pull for $500.
Right. You know, you could do 500 $1 pulls if you wanted, or whatever. And so we ended up going to a machine that had $5 video poker.
Right. Now, when you were, so the woman was explaining it to you, was she getting like impatient with you or something?
Oh, yeah. She was. There was one person behind me, and I was just asking these same questions we just went over.
Right. I went over.
I was trying to find out, what I would get and how I would get it and where I could use it. Yeah. And, eventually she just, you got to decide.
And I mean, this is $5,000, right? It's not like it's $20, right? I mean, it's $5,000.
Yeah.
And clearly the slot play is the better move in this case.
Right. And it wasn't that we were taking that long. I think I was only at the desk for maybe a minute and a half.
I saw you up there. You weren't up there that long. Yeah.
But she was getting anxious, and there's someone behind you.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
So what we did later on, then during the day, we went to the high limit area at Caesars to play your slot play. And what we decided to do was you'd put in $500 at a time.
Right. And
at a $5 video poker machine, you can play up to 5 coins. They say 5 coins per hand. So it was $25 each hand. So for every $500 voucher you put in, you could play 20 hands. Right.
Correct.
So what we did is, I sat next to Mike to kind of watch him play and make sure that he didn't make any mistakes while he was playing. And we just went through and counted. Okay, that hand number 1, 2, 3. And once we got up to 20 hands for each 500 voucher. Cashed out. And then when we cashed out, it was a real money voucher.
Right. And then that turns your fake money basically into real money.
Right. So we did that 20 times for each of the 10 $500 vouchers. And for each one, some of them we'd cash out for a little under 500.
Yeah, the first 2 we started off pretty good. We were a little over 500 and then right at 500, I think, on the second one.
Right, yep.
And then we had a couple that were below. But then we hit one that was cashed out for like 1,200.
Yeah, because you hit like a 4 of a kind during that session. Yeah. So bottom line, how much did you cash out for?
$4,800.
It was
25.
Yeah, so
$4,825
of real money.
So
the $5,000 in casino play converted to $4,825.
Yeah, 175 short of 5,000.
So that was great.
That was excellent.
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to kind of our day on that third day, we went over to Imperial Palace because you had asked one of the Total Rewards people.
Yeah, where there was a shop that had more kids-friendly stuff in it, toys and whatnot.
Like their gift shops.
At their gift shops,
and she
said Imperial Palace had the most.
All right. So we went over there. Normally, we wouldn't even bother to go into Imperial Palace.
No, because it's a dump.
It's terrible. Yeah. And, they're going through this renovation, too. They're rebranding it. They're going to be calling it the Quad. That's going to be like college-themed. And there's all this link construction going on. So it's kind of a mess.
Very much.
I was joking, though, as we were walking in through all this construction, that it was actually easier to get into the casino with all the construction going.
Oh yeah, much easier than it used to be.
You don't have to deal with all the cars and everything.
Right.
I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but I was surprised how many people were there.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be just empty. And it's not like it was packed, but who's going there now with all the construction and just... The only thing I can figure is maybe people were staying there because
Staying there, lower limits. There are
that's true.
some lower limit tables there.
Yeah. So we got some gifts for our kids while we were there, and then we played some craps, and I sort of ironically, it was some of the best craps that we had there. Not
Right.
just because we won, but just the atmosphere.
Right. Well, we were alone on a table.
Yep. Right.
That was nice.
We like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And there was a couple there, a young couple there that was trying to kind of figure out the game. So we were kind of helping them and making bets for them and what have you. So it was actually fun. But then the rest of the group wanted to go check out Venetian, and I hadn't seen the new Venetian Sportsbook, or we'd never seen Lagasse Stadium.
No.
So we walked over there. The Sportsbook was very nice. Lagasse Stadium, it was different. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was different than I thought. It was a little more intimate. It was nice.
Right. I mean, I was expecting much bigger just
I did
from
too,
what
yeah.
I had heard.
Right. It
was intimate.
I can't believe with as many times as we've been to that casino, we never got around to going down there.
Yeah.
One thing they had was they had a few table games kind of off to the side, and the craps table was in its own room,
Right.
kind of a small room, and nobody was playing. We got to remember that
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah, I wonder how that works if that's open. I mean, if it's not football season.
I know. I imagine they only open it up when something's going on.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
a weekend, football
Right.
or playoffs or something.
Well, football ends in, say, February. What would be in there?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
people
think-
betting on some baseball games or
Right. During the middle of the week, the tables probably aren't open. The stadium's always open because it's a restaurant, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But, Mike and I, we love to go up to an empty table and be the only ones shooting the dice. But it's very hard to maintain that. Once we go up and we buy in, it's like a magnet, and suddenly more people come to the table. But a place like that's kind of isolated in its own room.
Yeah, you might last a while.
I'd like to try that sometime. Anyway, after that, Mike from Seattle and his wife and Mary, they left. So basically everybody had gone home. They'd come for the birthday dinner the night before, and then they all went home on Sunday. So then it was just back to you and me again. And we played craps, and it was just terrible.
Just terrible. I mean, I think back, I got $447 at Harrah's Rincon, and then another $1,000 from Caesars when we got there,
Right.
and then $5,000 I won turned into $4,800 real actual dollars, and it's just all disappearing at a violent rate. I mean, it's just like plus the money I brought.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So, God, it couldn't have got any worse. I mean, from our first night and our last night, it was like bookends. I mean, it was just terrible.
It was. And I mean, we've been through this before.
Yeah.
But it's still, when you're beating the odds, it's so bad. And this is how bad it got. We took a little break and had dinner at KGB Burger at Harrah's. We both got American Standard burgers, and we split some of their waffle fried nachos. I thought it was really good.
It was
but
excellent.
I don't know neither one of us finished it. You had a shake too.
I had a
It was really
shake,
good.
but I ate the hamburger and the shake.
Yeah.
I mean, I could barely eat any of the nachos. It's just, it was too much food. It was a lot of food.
And we were still, we ate so much from the buffet earlier in the day. But yeah, we left a lot of food behind, but it was very good. We went, as soon as we were done with dinner, we stayed at Harrah's. We went to a craps table. It was going kind of okay, but then they brought in, I guess, a novice crew or a training crew.
Yeah.
And the dealing.
Just funny on a Sunday night.
I know. Well, just any night.
Yeah, you would think.
But it became painful to watch these dealers, in particular the one that was on our side trying to deal this game.
Yeah.
All the players, we were all looking at each other like, oh my gosh, can you believe what you're seeing?
Her hands were shaking. She was so nervous.
It was terrible. So once we had a shooter that lost, we said, let's get out of here. And we went back to Caesars and things seemed to be improving a little bit, but then it just
eventually just went downhill
south again. So we went to bed. We woke up the next morning, said, well, we got to play a little bit more. And it was terrible.
It was like the night had never ended.
Oh my gosh. It was terrible. And
they were immediate outs. I don't know that anyone made 2 points that whole morning.
Yeah. And that was the end of the gambling. We packed it up and got back in the car to drive home. And I was telling you earlier, or when we were there, I don't remember any time while we were playing craps where I felt compelled to increase any of my bets. They call it pressing the bets.
Yeah.
I just was never up enough to say, okay, press my bet, increase it to.
Right.
And,
No, is this that kind of trip?
Yeah. And you made a fire bet almost the whole time.
Yeah.
Now,
it did hit once. On Saturday night.
A fire bet,
Before.
if you know enough about craps, a fire bet is a separate bet that you make. Not every craps table has it. But you make this bet, and if an individual shooter establishes and makes at least 4 unique points, you get paid on this fire bet. And it hit once, you said, for like four numbers.
Yeah.
So you won like $250. But
that was it. Never even got close any other time.
Yeah. So I'll have to say, just because of the birthday dinner and seeing all my friends, it was probably my favorite trip ever to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. But from a gambling standpoint, it was one of the worst.
Right. Yeah, I agree. No, it was an excellent trip.
Yeah.
Because of the people that were there and the stuff we did. But from gambling, it was definitely one of my worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, that's part of gambling. That's it for this week. Let's talk about a couple things coming up on television. I don't know if we're going to have another podcast before this happens, but the final table of the main event of the World Series of Poker is going to air on Monday, October 29th, and on the next night on Tuesday, October 30th. It's semi-live coverage. For those of you who saw it last year, there's like a 15-minute delay, and you do not see the whole cards for the players until the hands are over. So it's not a typical poker broadcast, but for me, I think it's great. You're actually watching almost live poker.
Right. And
it's interesting from the players' standpoints too, because they can find out what other players had as their hold cards later on, through the event. They can call people who are watching, this on TV and say, hey, what did so-and-so have when I folded my hand? What did he have?
Right.
So it's unique. It's a different kind of a tournament atmosphere. But anyway, that's going to be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Monday, October 29th on ESPN 2. And then again on Tuesday night, October 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Also, for those of you who are fans of Vegas Strip on truTV, it's like Cops, except everything happens on the Vegas Strip. So it's fun. It's a lot of drunks. It's a lot of crazies. So that's very entertaining. That new season starts this coming Monday at 10 p.m. on truTV. And what you can bet on that podcast would be complete without Destination America, which is becoming our go-to gambling. They're having an 18-hour marathon of gambling-related shows starting at noon Eastern on Saturday, October 27th. Again, these shows are all reruns, and some of them even repeat within that 18-hour marathon, but it's gambling on TV.
Yeah, it's nice to see a network that's bold enough to show that.
That's right.
Take a clue, NBC, CBS, ABC.
All right. Visit our website, youcanbetonthat.com. You can check out our show notes and leave comments. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. And please email us with questions, comments, complaints at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. In fact, we did get one email. We'll get to it next time. But please keep those letters coming to us. We'd love to answer questions or try to defend what we're doing here. That's it. We'll see you next time.
All right. Good night.